right. So here we go. Here we are. I mean, hey, they say when you gotta jump off that cliff, you gotta, sometimes go head first.
Sure do.
So here it is. You know what I mean? So listen, you guys that tune into the Carver Ave podcast with Tone and Trae. This is our first episode. We are going to talk about a variety of things, and for the most part, people are like, "What is the Carver Ave? Like, what is Carver Ave?" Right? So I thought of that name because for me, Carver Ave was the street that pretty much gave me my childhood.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it helped mold me to who I am today as far as like hard working because
Right.
we didn't have nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that street right there, like for 8 years of my life, helped shape my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I chose that name. We might reference some stories here or there, about that Carver Avenue, and that's in Virginia Beach, Virginia, Friendship Village. Anybody that's listening and watching, they know what's good. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, it's going to be about life. It's going to be about business. It's going to be about how can we help empower people.
Yes.
Even though we're not at a point where, well, you're not a millionaire. So how can you tell me something?
Right.
We got a lot of life experience we could share.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
So,
we do.
and hopefully we can enlighten people. We'll bring special guests in. We'll do our own little thing there as well. But so what would you like to get from this podcast? What do you think you can do by using this platform to help people?
But with this platform, I can help empower other women and let them know that you can become when you overcome. So out of this podcast, as my brother Ford stated, that's what I want to help teach others. How to overcome from your past and be able to walk into your purpose.
Okay, all right, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, you're not really into pop culture like that, so I ain't gonna talk no Diddy talk today, but I
No,
might talk
it's
about
not my
something that's going
story.
on out there,
That's fine.
and we can kind of like from a street perspective, and even because you got the spiritual perspective with the ministry and stuff, maybe you can help enlighten me on maybe like why, from a spiritual aspect or even mentally, like why somebody's going through what they're going through, why they're doing what they're doing, and what maybe they could do spiritually to help get back some sanity or whatever the case may be in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it's funny. We lived in the same household
Right.
in Carver Avenue and
Yeah.
other places in Norfolk, Virginia, right,
Mm-hmm.
for years.
Yeah.
And this is the most we've talked before this podcast. We've talked
Right.
a lot, before now. Like, it's just like, I've never talked to my sister this much in my life. Like, this
Right.
is crazy. But for me to hear you say to me that we live two different childhoods, I'm like, how? I'm trying to understand how. Because we both barely had anything to eat. The environments weren't that great. No,
Yeah,
no
right,
disrespect
true,
to moms and
true,
pops, but it just
true,
we weren't in the best position. So I'm like,
true.
how in the world we have two different childhoods? Can you explain that to me, please?
I must have lived in an imaginary land. The reason why I said that is because I also went out a lot. Like I stayed over cousin's house, friend's house, or either people from the church. But as far as what he is talking about, um, even though I didn't look at like we didn't have much food to eat, I made do with what we had. We ran out of milk. Okay, I saw the powdered milk in the cabinet, so I made me some milk to eat my cereal. So I didn't look at it as being in poverty because mom somehow always seemed to smooth things over for some odd reason. So I didn't really see myself as being in poverty.
Right. Yeah, and so that's the part maybe I didn't see and realize because um, all I seen was kind of like moms making her way doing the best she can,
Mm-hmm.
not understanding that you were actually stepping up in some cases for real.
Yeah, yeah.
But obviously, for me, while you was in there working with the powdered milk, I'm out running. I'm out there. I'm I'm playing. I'm playing basketball and football and just having fun. So I mean, obviously, I wasn't cooking nothing unless it was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and sometimes a sugar sandwich. You know what I mean? We didn't have
Right,
much in the
right,
crib.
right.
So,
I mean, you know how it is. We all been there, you know. You go in there and get the jug of milk, and there's only like a couple of drops in there. So what you gonna do? I
right.
didn't want no water. But anywho, but yeah, go
So,
ahead.
I just found it interesting. Like, so what was it about your childhood that you would say, was different from what I had? Obviously, I mean, like I said again, I didn't know what you were doing. So what was different? Like, what were you doing while I'm sitting here outside running around, hitting the streets?
Well, our mother, I'm considered the responsible one. Yes, I'm going to say it. I was the one who washed clothes, who went to the grocery store, and helped my mom maintain the house as far as keeping it clean. Well, my chore was my room and the dishes outside of, washing clothes and going to the grocery store for her. So I really just felt like I was the only one. It seemed like I'm the only one that's going to the laundromat, putting those little quarters in the machine and making sure I separate the clothes.
Oh
So,
wow.
what I gather from even from all of that is as to why I say I feel like we also had a little bit of a different childhood. She talked to me a lot. Now, even though I didn't understand what she was saying, as far as you make your bed, you lie in, and she used to say different stuff. And basically, at that time, she was going through, and I guess I was her, her scapegoat, someone that she could share with who she wanted me to be when I become a woman. I didn't understand what the woman was talking about half the time.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I listened and I enjoyed those times that we did have, because it helped to prepare me for who I am today.
Right.
And as a fourth stated, even though there's times when I wanted to, playing in a musical instrument, and she didn't have the money, I didn't get upset. One thing I tell everybody, you don't play with Deborah Marie Drew. Back then she was Deborah Marie McNeil. You don't play with her. So I just feel like whatever she said just goes, and everything just seems to just ease, my pain or my, the gap I had, the stuff that we didn't have. Cause she still made do what she did, was able to provide for us.
Right.
But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
digressed though.
So, and it's it's interesting because um she didn't play, but I never seen that. I really didn't. And maybe just because I just kind of just did what I wanted to do and didn't
I'm
care.
surprised. I must have just been a scared little girl all my life.
Maybe, but I never really like,
Wow.
not that I didn't care, um, but as a kid, sometimes we just kind of take things for granted, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, I'm sitting here faking sick, because I got asthma, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'll easily be like, I can't breathe, man. So you're taking advantage of the situation, knowing she's
Right,
gonna be
right.
like, okay, well, stay home.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, so, but I just, when you said that, I was just like, yo, this is crazy. It's like, how we have two different childhoods? But I see, if you actually were hands on doing some things
Mhm.
behind the scenes, it makes sense.
Mhm.
So, um, I don't know. Name one thing about that area in Virginia Beach that you always kind of think about. Because I always think about certain things about that area, which is the reason why I named the podcast what it is. I'm always thinking about that area, and a part of me wants to go back to that area,
Right.
just because again, it helped shape me to who I am, and I really appreciate it. I got my first job there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I knew if I didn't work, I was gonna be getting those. Uh, no offense to anybody that had to do this, Angel Tree and
Right. Right.
Salvation
Right.
Army clothes.
Right.
And all that. That's
I've
what was gonna
been
be
there.
life. And I
Mhm.
was like, nah, I can't do that. So as soon as I
Mhm.
would get to go to work, I went to work. So, but name something for me that kind of sticks with you today from that area.
Well, what sticks to me is the community that we had. One thing I can say was, my mom's community, they all stuck together. Whatever we needed, they had, and whatever we had and they needed, they got it. So, and to me, that also created a bond to let us know that we're all in this together. You know, Regardless of how much you had, you didn't look down on us. And what they did for me, basically, it just allowed me to help. Jesus Christ. Build community amongst other people to let us know that, you could be down today and up tomorrow. Because even though we was in a low community, in Fisher Village,
Right.
however, there still people had, different levels. Some had more than others. And what, like I said, what I gathered from it, once again, y'all, I do apologize.
Hey, listen, I got her out of her shell. You know what I mean? I'm out of my shell.
Oh
Usually I'm behind the camera. I've been behind the camera for 18
Lord,
years.
Jesus
Now I'm in
Christ.
front of the camera, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Why am I doing this? But
Right.
you know why I'm doing this. But
Yeah,
no,
but
it's cool. I mean, um, you good. You know what I mean? So like you
yeah, yeah.
said, so and again, as a kid, right, being in that
Mhm.
environment, and even to this day, in every hood in America, the kids that are running around are very
Mhm.
oblivious to the danger that they're
Right,
in.
right,
So it was nothing for us to hear gunshots every day.
right.
We were seeing drugs being handed off every day.
Right,
That stuff
right.
was happening right in front of our eyes, and we just
Mhm.
took it for like it was just every day for us,
Mhm.
not knowing that a stray bullet could have got us
Right.
or anything could have happened.
That's true.
So um, shout out to Friendship Village. You know what I mean? Like shout out to Friendship Village,
Friendship
Carver
Village,
Avenue.
Carver Ave, the
Um,
place will be
I was just
packed
there this past
every.
weekend, and man,
I love
they've
that
really
place.
done a lot to that place.
Oh yeah.
They really
Yeah.
built it up. Not sure if it's safer. Well, but around it though, I'm gonna tell you. So around it, they're actually like remodeling the townhomes. So I'm not
Oh,
sure if they're
nice.
gentrifying that area or what's
Mhm.
happening, but they've made a lot of changes, and that's for the good. Obviously, the property value goes up when that happens.
Right.
But um, yeah, shout out to Virginia Beach, Friendship Village, Carver Avenue.
That's it. A place I would never forget. As my brother first stated, I mean, that's where life truly had begun for us. Because I don't know if he remembers, but our friends was our cousins, and those that was at our home church, But we was able, once we got there, we was able to develop our own community of friends
Yeah.
from different nationalities, because I had white friends, black friends,
Yes,
So
that's why I actually experienced.
I
I
love it.
experienced diversity
Mhm.
living in Virginia Beach,
Oh yeah.
for sure,
Oh yeah. Oh
for
yeah.
sure. And I don't remember the guy's last name. But the guy's name was Jonathan. I remember that because he took me to a karate class with him. I couldn't tell you how I got there. It's been so long ago. But I remember that because it was something different. Like I said, again, everything that I experienced happened in that
It
area
really did.
with us living
It
on
really
that
did.
street.
It really did.
So
I can add to
not saying I
that.
wasn't a kid in Norfolk
No,
and
but it's
in a different project. It just I don't remember. All I remember in Norfolk was the bad,
yeah,
like the
yeah.
like the worst of the worst.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't remember any highlights.
No,
You know what I'm
no,
saying?
everything
So
was there.
like y'all don't probably remember this, but I remember walking in a hurricane to get us food because we had nothing to eat.
Mm-mm.
It's in here, the wind's blowing and it's raining. And we hoping the store's open, and sure enough, I was able to go in there and get a pack of bologna and some bread for us.
Mm-mm.
I don't remember anything good about Norfolk. Now you're right about the childhood and going to grandma's house and Aunt Gina's
Mm-hmm.
house and playing with our cousins. That I
Mm-hmm.
remember that vividly.
Mm-hmm.
Perry Park and grandma always fixing the fried chicken and the soda. You know what I mean? So I remember all of that.
Yeah,
And but yeah, Virginia Beach was just it for me.
it
And,
was.
and,
It
and,
was.
and to the point where no matter where I go in this country or in the world, I will always say I'm from Virginia Beach. I don't say
Me,
I'm from Norfolk.
me too.
I just don't. So
Me too.
I just it just is what it is. Yeah, I
Because
can't help it.
I mean, it really did shape us, but we have to understand too how old we were. So we were still in that age where we were still getting molded,
Yeah, yeah,
So that's another reason why that particular place sticks out to us, you
right.
know. But
Yeah,
it's just I loved it because I literally learned everything there. I used to work in the volunteer in the with our next door neighbor, Miss Faye,
yeah.
and she used to hand out clothes, toys, different, a lot of different stuff like that. So the giving part of giving to others is where I learned that at. And then we was able to volunteer in the food shelter. I don't know if you was able to experience that or not.
This is what I'm saying. Like when
Okay.
you say that we lived two different childhoods, we lived two different childhoods. Because literally, my life back then, it was me and our brother James,
Yeah.
and we were just about the arcade. We were about
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like our life was just literally just fun and games from the time the sun came up to the time the sun went down. It was about trying to figure out whether we walking to the beach, we walking down the dang, what's it the doggone can't think of the shopping center. It's Bird Neck something on that. I think it's Bird Neck. But anyway,
How you talking
we were
about?
walking down that
What
way,
it feel like? Yeah.
or we at the basketball court. We playing
Mm-hmm.
football behind the house. We playing Nintendo in the backyard. Like it wasn't any of this. Oh, I'm gonna help give back. No, I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about that at all. So,
I just had a love for it, and also I used that time also to get my favorite items. So it worked out for the both of us. So I was able to
right.
get a lot of keepsakes. Like I got my first box full of toys. It was just a little portable. It was pink and white.
Uh-huh.
It was like a little dollhouse. And I always wanted something like that. So I guess that is what caused me to always want to help her, because I don't know what I'm gonna get out the deal.
Man, that's crazy.
I didn't,
I
yes,
just
I played. I did play. I mean, I was a track star back then. I loved to run, so I used to run, race against the kids in the neighborhood. However, I was just always drawn to, go help others.
right, right, yeah, yeah. Hey, good stuff. I did run track at FC First Colonial for a hot second. My asthma got in the way.
I said that too.
Yeah, hot second. Again, this is like one of those things. It was an accomplishment that I had
Yeah,
while
yeah,
being there.
yeah.
I came in third place in a relay, so I'll take that with me to my grave. I came in third place in a relay one time for FC. Shout out to FC, even though I never could did anything else there. But it's just one of those, like it's that place. I just have so many memories. Just
Yeah, oh
just
yeah,
just things I've
yeah.
never done since leaving there. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So I do want to segue though. You were talking about one of the things we were going to talk about was the childhood trauma or something like that. Like
Right.
kind of explain to me what you mean by that. Give me more of what you're talking about, so we can kind of maybe start this conversation. Cause like, are you talking about like somebody that goes through childhood trauma? How do they work through that and then end up being successful in their life? Or what do you?
Okay, yeah. Well, what made me bring that up is how we grew up and how we was raised still created a form of trauma.
Okay.
Not having enough food to eat. Always wondering, are we gonna get Christmas, or are we gonna, have a new book bag for school? And my mom she always did our hair, so me and my sister, we never had to worry about that. Our grandma was a beautician, so of course that passed down to my mom. So she always kept our hair. She always kept us clean. However, not having enough would make you look on the outside. Because remember the school we went to, Virginia Beach is also considered a military town.
Right. Yeah.
So we was with those who had more than us.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes, you will want more regardless of what state that you're in. And when I go back and look at it, it has created some type of form of trauma. Not even so much as that, it's some other personal stuff that I'm not ready to share that creates trauma.
Yeah, no, 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 no. And that's the thing. So, like, we don't have to get deep on this
Yeah, I
subject,
got
right?
you.
Because at the end of the day, like, I think you bring up a valid point.
Yeah,
So
so
when we
things like
look at,
that,
like,
yeah.
nowadays the mental health thing
Mm,
is more mainstream, right?
mm,
Like, mental health has been around for a long time, but now they've made it mainstream to where it's like, okay, you're taking a mental health day from work. All right, cool. We can't
right,
do anything about that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the
right,
day, they don't want nobody snapping and killing
right.
somebody. But
Because I can remember, not to cut across you, I can remember the days where, I felt lost, I felt confused, and I felt alone. And, so that's where I'm talking about where the trauma starts for me. And
so
I was like 4 or 5.
and this is because of the environment we were in Norfolk.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Not knowing
Um,
what was going on in our home, because like I said, I was so young to remember. However, it still traumatized me.
hmm
It paralyzed me.
Yeah.
If you want to put a link to it, but go ahead.
So for me, I'm gonna flip it, right? And the reason I'm gonna flip it is because me being in those environments
Mm-hmm.
made me realize I had to do something different. So I could have easily went on that same block, Carver Avenue there, and got with those
Mm-hmm.
dealers
Right, right, right,
and
right,
just say, hey, hook.
right, right.
But I said, not that I was better than them,
Mm-hmm.
I'm better than that.
Right.
And so but I realized at a young age I had to go work. So at 14, got my first job. And then from there, like, okay, cool, it felt good buying a little car, kind of outfit, whatever, you know, buying some nice shoes and all this stuff. But like, I, I didn't see it as trauma for me. I really didn't. But again, with you actually being more hands-on and having to help out, I could see that because you're like, as a kid, you're not living your life as a kid. You kind of semi-adulting
Uh-huh.
at a young age.
Mhm.
But for me, I just took, seeing my mama struggle like that, seeing pops not around for real.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, how can I make things a little bit different?
Mhm.
Not for myself, but for the future, right? They always say break the generational curse and all this stuff.
Mhm.
And it's not even about that. So for me, it's about, hey, look, I want you to do better than me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because my thing is, if moms didn't know because she didn't really have any guidance or any love,
Mhm.
how can we expect her to do the same? And the
Oh
same with
wow.
pops. Pops, you look at it, granddaddy ran out on them.
Well, I'm gonna bring up something that I didn't want to share, so you can understand where I'm going with it.
Listen,
I understand exactly everything what you say, and
okay,
what people don't have to also understand too. We can all live in the same house, but experience different things and go
okay.
through different
Oh,
things.
absolutely. Yeah.
So that's basically what I am talking about. Like what? Cause we're going to visit our father, right?
I mean, I don't
You don't
remember
remember
that.
visiting dad?
No, not really.
Oh my gosh.
I,
Grandma used
see
to put us on the
that's what I'm
bus.
saying. So like this different childhood thing. Like for
Oh gosh.
me, I only remember him coming around like every other month, dropping off $5. And
Uh-huh.
I don't see him for too much later. You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? That's what I remember. I don't remember like going to see him on a regular basis. I really don't. I
Well,
don't.
I wouldn't consider it a regular basis. I do remember us being in Virginia Beach, and I do remember us getting on a bus to go visit him because he would meet us at the bus stop.
Yeah, see that's wild.
Yeah,
That's wild that you remember certain things about our childhood.
because I lost my favorite toy that day. That's why I remember that.
You lost what?
My favorite pink and white box that I had my toys. So I would never forget that day.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Oh man. But
But
so
let me just share. Like our father, when we stayed with him, he treated me differently than he treated him. I felt like he was able to do more than I was. So you have to look at how how the culture is back then. Women, your role is to stay in the house, cook, clean, whatever, whatever, whatever. So that's basically was my role. And then when I got with my father, I helped babysit and blah blah blah, different stuff like that. So when I get out of the line, he will always throw the word of God on me, and that to me, but it was in ways of creating fear. It wasn't,
right,
in a way of pushing me to do better. So I pretty much began to fear, a lot of stuff versus, going into it with joy.
right,
It
yeah,
was always a hesitation, always wanting to, am I doing this right? Am I saying this right? Am I going to the right places? Or, different stuff like that. But as far as the trauma part goes, um, I used like growing up, like I had big legs. I was really skinny, but my legs and stuff was I was called Incredible Hawk legs.
I remember that.
Yeah, but our
I
parents
remember
used to
that.
have parties and stuff. So when you get older men saying stuff to you as a young kid,
Mm,
that creates a sense of trauma.
absolutely, yeah,
Right,
yeah, of
and
course.
that's where the trauma came in there for me.
Got
And
you.
I was under the age of 8 years old, and you're
Oh wow.
coming on to me, right, as if I'm an adult. Yeah,
Okay.
so not knowing who I could talk to because we also grew up in that era. What goes on in this house stays
Stay.
in this house.
Right, right,
And when I tried to talk to our father, not about that, but about other stuff, just to create the safety nest to see if I could even come to you with it, that's what we got.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
See, that's crazy.
yeah,
And I and this is the thing, right? So, not saying boys don't get abused because they do. In
right,
some shape or form, they do. But we find this more with the females.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? Where, like you said, you could be in the same household. You got the favorite child that gets whatever they want.
Yeah.
You got the one that's just there,
Mhm.
and then you got the one that's being abused, or
Right.
something's happened to that child.
Right.
And that's pretty common in the black community,
Right. That's right.
for sure. So
Mhm.
um, it's just wild because I think for me, like, just sitting back looking at it and talking to you, I know for a fact, whether it was moms or pops, I just did what I wanted to do.
Yeah, she said
I just did what I wanted to do.
their thing is they
Like,
gave us free will, but I told our father the other month, I don't see how you gave me free will. You know. But go
who
ahead.
knows? Um, but yeah, so I guess my thing is, now that you're older, how have you managed that? Have you ever addressed it? Is what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, how did you address it? Because a lot of people don't want to go see a therapist
Mhm.
or anything like that. Was your outlet the church? Like, what was it?
Well, how I addressed it was therapy, of course, but mostly it was the church. You know, once I began to hear, how God heals, deliver, and set free, that just rung a bell in me as, as my signal. Oh, it's time to get free now. How that looked, I didn't know because I was 11 at the time, so I didn't know how that looked. However, I didn't stop. So, of course, I got saved early and I got filled early, and I just began to read my word. So I mainly got healed through reading the Word of God and a lot of, sitting with myself. And a lot of times we don't want to go back and revisit what we went through. Of course, it took some years. I'm not going to say I did it overnight, so I did baby steps with quite a few things. However, when I did start, it really took some time to actually want to even accept it. So I had to literally just, you know, learn the form of meditation,
Right.
you know. And meaning I had to sit with myself and I had to sit with my Heavenly Father. And once he began to, let me know all of what I have been through within these last, I'll just say 25 years, I just dealt with it in layers. Because I've been through a whole lot of stuff that I never really shared with anybody but my husband. So, and it brings back so many emotions, some pain and a lot of disappointments. And, you go through the whole, the whole emotional system and feelings when you begin to go back in your past. But I knew I wanted to be free. So in order to become, in order to be, it had to become, So, but what is my first step in becoming? I had to first acknowledge what took place. And then I also had to let myself know that it wasn't my fault. And then I also can't blame my parents either because I had to think about how they was raised and what all did they know. So I didn't put the blame on anybody but myself. Now I'm not gonna say I didn't put the blame on anybody. I did blame myself for a lot of stuff because I feel like I could have escaped a lot of it. However, once I begin to gain more knowledge, about the situation, I had to let myself know that it wasn't my fault. And if I want to be free and healed, it's gonna take me to do it. So that's what we have to understand. We can't always put the work on someone else. It's good to have that person on the other side, but once they give you the instructions, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
You know? And at the time when I was going to counseling, I was just giving her, because I got married at 18. I was just giving her my marriage problems. But when she was giving me my answers back, I already knew my answers. I had to believe in myself. That's one thing I had to do. I had to believe in myself. I had to let Tremaine know that you're not who you used to be. So you have to let that past go in order to be.
Right. Yeah. 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 And like I said, I don't want to go deep on the topic. I
No,
just
you're fine. You can.
no, 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 we're good. I was
Oh.
just um because I think a lot of people go through life with it not addressed,
Mhm.
right? So
Because of.
I'll look at, let's say for example, I use Kanye West,
Mhm.
right? Now, obviously, you hear about him a lot because after his mama died,
Mhm.
I think that was his anchor,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So he lost his anchor.
Yep.
So now he's just roaming free,
Yep.
and he's doing what he needs to do to survive.
Mhm.
But you see like the little outbursts here and there and
Mhm.
things like that. And so, but I don't know what else he went through before his mama passed neither.
Right. That's true.
So like, what was his past like?
Right. That's true.
Growing up.
Mhm.
Obviously he had um, he had to get in the hard way into the music industry,
Mm-hmm.
right? It wasn't just handed to him. So, but that's just an example of what like people are going through, like whether it's as like you say, you're a toddler age basically,
Mm-hmm.
or as a teenager because you know you've developed and you're getting unwanted attention that you shouldn't be getting at that
Right,
age.
right, right, right.
Um, if the parents are not going to listen,
Mm-hmm.
and the support's not there, then you, like you said, you carry it,
Right, right,
and
right.
then so what most times will end up happening is that you end up in relationships
That you shouldn't be in.
that you shouldn't be in,
Mm-hmm. Because you never
and it's
let me.
probably not going to be fruitful
Right,
because you haven't addressed any issues.
right.
Um, so it's just a lot, man. It's a lot to it.
It becomes a
But the
cycle.
one thing I will say is
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, nowadays, you know, because everything's so normalized now, we
Mm-hmm.
keep hearing about mental health, mental health, mental health,
Right,
and so many people are talking about therapy that, you know, people are getting help now.
right.
So, I mean,
Because, I mean, I look at it like this. We go to the doctor for everything. We
yeah.
go to the doctor for a cold. We go to the doctor, we stuff our foot. But we don't go to the doctor when we're stressed out, or if we, don't have no sense of direction, or, if you're
Well, that's
mentally,
because, right, yeah, that's because, you know, the thing
people,
about the
they're not
doctor,
crazy for going to no doctor.
well, right, but
Go to
the thing with
therapy.
the doctor thing is like people are afraid of going to the doctor because first and foremost, they don't want to find anything wrong with them
Right,
because at that point now you have to accept it, and if you're
right.
not strong enough to fight it,
That's true.
then you've already lost.
Yeah, that's true.
As far as the mental health piece to that, it's like, oh, I don't want to tell all my business.
I mean, yeah, that's true
You
too.
know what I mean? I don't want to tell them. I
I
don't
don't
want.
get that.
Well, hold on. I don't want to tell my business. I don't want to look vulnerable,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
and that's where people go wrong at. It's
Right,
like,
right,
okay, you're not being vulnerable.
right,
You're actually maybe getting some kind of a outside, you
right.
know, devil's advocate is going to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
hey, well, what if you just tried this to, you know, get through whatever. So, but that's the problem is that we've created these stigmas in the black
Right,
community
right, right,
that oh, if you go to the doctor, you know, there's something wrong,
right,
and they don't want to. They like a lot of people don't want to know what's wrong.
right. And I mean, that's true. That's true.
So,
However, I'm just not that type of girl. You know.
hey, I
I
mean,
mean, but hey, I've been there too. I can know what's wrong with me and still not do anything with it. I get that. However, I want to heal. And if I know I can't do it myself. I know that. Because the pain is too deep. So therefore, I need someone on the outside to come rescue me until I'm able to rescue myself. And if we can take the time to understand that, you don't have to give everybody all of your business. You don't have to do all of that. However, one thing I have learned is everybody needs somebody. You need somebody. You need somebody. I don't want to keep spilling my guts to someone who can't help me. And I
yeah,
don't want to hold it in myself no longer either because it's also killing me.
right. Um, so with you being a first lady of a church, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
guys have, you know, obviously you have um, young women that might have kids at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they've been through some things, or whatever the case may be. What do you do to try to support?
Um, okay, well, what I do is I let them know that I've been there. And you don't have to go there. I had my first child at 15,
Wait,
so
hold on. You were that young?
yes, I was that young. Got pregnant at 14.
No, you couldn't have been that. Are you
I was
serious?
that
Wait.
young.
Okay, hold on, real quick. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did you have her when we was in Carver Avenue still?
Nope, we had moved.
We had just moved. Okay,
Hmm.
I was just like,
Yeah, we had moved.
man, I
Yeah,
didn't know you were that young though.
I was 15.
Oh man. All right, go
Oh
ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
yeah,
I
you're
just.
fine. So what I do is, and we don't really get too many. I want to say we don't get too many because we also have moved quite often.
Right.
Since we have been in ministry. However, the first go around, I'm not gonna really talk about. So I'm gonna talk about the second go around. And what I mean by that is in ministry. However, what I do to help women is I let them know that I've been there. So I share my story, you know, and I let them know that life doesn't end just because you have a child. And then even if you're not pregnant, I teach them to save yourself. because you don't know who you are at those 17, 18, 19, sometimes 20, 30, 40, and 50. You don't know who you are. Let's first heal first. Because once you begin to heal, your appetite changes. You're not going to desire the same thing you desired when you was in a broken state. So that's why that's what I encourage others to think about. Take the time to heal. Let's not jump from one relationship to another relationship. But that's the mistake I made. I was good for burying stuff. Because as I first stated, I had my first child at 15, then I ended up having another one at 17. So I felt like I didn't have time for myself. So for those who have already had children, always take time for you. I don't care if your child is asleep. I don't care if they're at daycare, at the grandparents' house. Always make sure you have your me time because you don't want to lose sight of who you are in parenting. And that's what we have a tendency of doing. So we will forget how we feel. We will forget how we're thinking, and we'll forget how we're doing today. So that is what will cause us to go into multiple relationships, good, some bad. And what I mean by good, you're not with that one long because you want the bad guy, because you're so used to, the bad one. So when one good come along, you don't even know how to act, what I'm saying? Because you feel like they ain't your type. However, but mostly what I always encourage the women is really get to know you again. Get to know you again. That is very important because I first stated, once you heal completely from the inside out, I understand it's a process, but even during that process, as I first stated, your appetite will change. So it's very important to know who you are. So therefore, you know what you desire and what God has created for you. Now, for those who are not, pregnant, I share pretty much the same thing with both of them. But for those who are, I also let them know, pick yourself up. Don't beat yourself down because of, what's getting ready to take place. No child is a mistake. But just make sure you learn the lesson along the way.
Do you think what you do is, being practiced in all churches?
I'm not really familiar with all churches, but
yeah, but
no, it's not.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get that out of you because
No.
I really don't think so. Because a lot of times because they had a child out of wedlock,
Right, yeah.
They're looked at
It looks
differently.
bad.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Church. Mm-hmm.
They may not have a lot of money, so they look a certain type of way. They don't
Right.
like, you know what I mean? So
Right,
just
right.
stereotypes are already out the gate.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're already, that's good. It's a good thing that you do that. Which is why we're doing this podcast to announce that she does those things, and she's gonna do more of those things outside of this podcast.
Go ahead, Tony.
Oh man! All right, so that was good. That was fun. Oh, by the way, y'all like, subscribe, and comment. Okay, we'll be on YouTube. We're going to be on Spotify and different platforms. We'll make sure we keep y'all in the loop. Um, but good talking to you, sis. I'm not sure we'll do this again. Maybe we will. You good?
I'm good. Good talking to you too, big
you
bro.
good now? Oh, okay.
I'm good.
All right. All right, guys. We'll check you out next time. Check us out online. Like, subscribe, and comment once again. This is the Carver Ave Chronicles podcast with Tone and Trae. We are out. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks again for listening to the Carver Ave Chronicles podcast with Tone and Trae. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Definitely subscribe wherever you get your podcast for future episodes.